I call the April 20th, 2022 Select Board meeting to order. 6:01 p.m. So do we have any amendments to the agenda? I just have an appointment of the Assistant Emergency Manager. So let's approve the minutes of April 6th. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the April 6 minutes.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Are there any discussions, corrections you want to make on this, on April 6 minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. And I'll have a motion to accept the April 8th meeting minutes, our special meeting we held.
I can make a motion to approve the April 8th special meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion on these, corrections, omissions, like to make? If not,
That looks good.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll have Alan abstaining because he wasn't there. Yeah, okay. Comments from the community and correspondence.
And correspondence.
Yeah, I was gonna. Thank you. No one online has any comments? If not, there are two things in our correspondence. One is the resolution for the annual appointment of representatives to the Northeast Kingdom Broadband Governing Board. Michael Davidson has served in that capacity. I don't believe, so we'll add that to our next meeting, Deb, to add to the agenda. The other thing is we received a letter from the Northern Rivers Land Trust, the peoples that are going to be putting a conservation easement on the forest land, just reaching out for the annual donation.
What's the amount again?
10, 25, 50, 75. I think they basically take anything.
You know what we've done historically.
We have not contributed to them before. I don't know where it would come out of our budget. I think that members might want to personally make a contribution. If you're interested, I will see that you get a copy.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the project manager's report.
So Donna, can you bring up the PDF? Can I try to make this relatively quick? I know that we, yes, the meeting.
Where you can see it.
Yeah, there we go. So I did a little different format this time around just to try to highlight what's been going on for the past week and a half. We were able to complete the Peter Welch Community Project Grant for the fiscal year 2023. And this is in support of the Wolcott wastewater project, specifically to help fund the planning and design stage. We made a congressional request of $375,000. And this was done in conjunction with LCPC. So Seth and Sal were very, very helpful in working on this. The application was submitted just before the due date, and there's an expected response date of May 6, 2022. So this is a congressional funding opportunity sponsored by Peter Welch. It looks like something that would fit our book of needs very, very well. This is statewide funding, so Congressman Welch will select among the applicants, and we'll hear back on May 6th, and hopefully it'll go well. If nothing else, it's really good to get on the radar. So we're hopeful, and we're on the radar. So we go to the next page here. Okay, leaps. Okay. So this is just for your information, because there's a lot of, and you'll see in your packets, quotes for various pieces of equipment, road equipment. And I want to put that into perspective as to what that pertains to. So what I'm working on is a 30-year sustainable road equipment plan. And the objective is to be able to predictably budget the equipment fund going well into the future. It's done with staggered leases, in which we own at the end of the term, and then we turn around and use it as a trade-in. The trade-ins typically will delay the lease payments by 1 year. Another objective is that the equipment is always under warranty. And when you compare our repair bills and downtime and the amount of time that the road crew is off the road working on broken down equipment compared to a 30-year lease structure, we're actually saving money over time. The bids that are in the next cycle right now is the plow 3 truck that we put in and signed the order back in October of last year, and we're expecting delivery in November of this year. So it's a year, it's 1 year. And we expect our first payment to be necessary in November of 2023 because of the trade-in. It keeps the cycle going. Front loader, which we talked about a little bit this last time, we're taking bids right now from Cat, John Deere, and Case to start to get a sense of where that needs to fit in the cycle. Again, another objective here is to not increase our funding. So it's all a matter of staggering the timing. And the trailer that we deemed being unable to pass inspection, we're taking bids right now. The first bid we got was for $22,000. So a trailer adequate for moving the excavator is expensive. We're also looking for used trailers because in this case, it would not be a warranty item. And, as long as the trailer is in good shape, it might be worth the savings. And then plow 2 truck, if you look at the overall cycle over the next 5 years, that truck needs to get into the staggered cycle. And based on what our experience with plow truck 3, we need to consider ordering it now, because we won't see it for a year and a half when it starts getting into that cycle. By the way, the trailer is on a 36-week delivery. The front loader would be probably an 8 to 9 month delivery. So our thinking about equipment needs to change and to be looking way out into the future. Unfortunately, our relationship with the dealers puts us in a position where we can do an order, we can sign for an order, we're not obligated to the order, but it gets us in. So there's no financial risk to it. So we'll pop to the next one here. Okay, facilities, and anything I put into red here means that there's a request for funding. So as you all know, the town garage boiler system went up in flames, literally, and needs to be replaced. So we went out for bid on it with Bourne's and Fred's and County Plumbing. Interestingly enough, they're very closely tied to their fuel delivery. So Fred's declined to do a bid, as did County. It's really apparent that we have a contract with Bourne's for the fuel, and nobody else is going to touch it. So the Bourne's bid, originally they wanted to replace the boiler about $16,000, but we went to look at an alternative, which is a overhead heater. Actually the same thing that's in the fire department right now. And so they would install the heater unit. They would remove and dispose of the burn boiler. They would remove the oil tank, and they would install a 500-pound propane tank, sans propane. Also we'll need to hire an electrician to bring 150 volts to the location. Funding source is building maintenance fund, which the balance right now, I believe, is $9,500. So the installation would be a separate quote from the electrician. We would need to, or Bourne's would actually do the rental of an equipment lift for about $100. And then with propane, they said if we sign another 2-year contract, we would buy propane at $1.953 a gallon. And they can install this and have it up and working by mid-May. Now, another advantage of going to the overhead convection system is that we'll eliminate the moisture in the garage and save rusting on the undercarriages of the machines that are in the garage. Right now, unfortunately, the last couple of days, it's been cold, and so it's been pretty uncomfortable in there. This is a quote that I would like to present to the board to see if we can move forward with this order.
What would happen to the radiant heat in the floor? Do you have to pump out the water so it doesn't freeze, or?
But Bourne's would take out the entire system, and they would drain the system. Yeah.
Is that our oil tank or theirs?
It's probably. They don't have to remove it, but environmentally, You don't want those just
Right.
sitting.
I think the insurance company could probably want to put it anyways, it's not being used.
Yeah,
You couldn't sell it, or is it old? I'm just thinking out loud.
we could look into.
That was my only question in the whole proposal.
I think you could sell it.
We could look into selling it, yeah. So I don't know if you
That's
want,
a good price for propane. I think it's like $241.
Yeah.
That's a really good price.
Depends on your use.
Yeah.
You know, what's
My whole house is gas, and I'm paying a lot. Everything in my house is gas.
I've only had it through my stove,
Yeah.
and it's $4 plus.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, so it is a good price, and we would. They're leveraging the situation a bit because it would be a 2-year contract. I think that's a good deal. By the way, a 500-pound propane tank only holds 400 tanks.
Right.
But this is something that, given all the delays and everything that we do, I'd be anxious to try to move this forward sooner rather than later.
so do we have any other further discussions on that? Ready to take a vote on it?
Did you even try calling Billings Roller?
No, I didn't. Once I started talking to the, especially like country plumbing, yeah.
County plumbing?
Yeah, county plumbing, right. There's that interaction that becomes problematic, because you still got to buy the propane tank from somebody. And in this case, it would be Lawrence tank.
Any other questions? So do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal.
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor of accepting Warren's proposal for a motor propelled heater in the amount of $8,223.32 plus the cost for electrical installation. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Go to the next one. The second slide on facilities, garage water. We ran out of water in the garage last summer, I believe. I believe Minaj was here, put together a proposal, but we have to start all over again. I don't know what happened to the proposal. But the bottom line is that we do have a problem with garage water, and I'm moving forward with having Minaj come out and reassess it and give us a new quote. The town office well, the well went out here over the winter. It needs to be rewired. It's currently wired outside, and that needs to be trenched. So that is actually part of the repair. Now that the ground is softened up a bit, I think that they can do it now. And then we're taking quotes on siding for the town garage. I think that was a good suggestion of paint. And we're taking bids on power washing town hall and town office. So we can go to the next slide.
So I have a question here.
Yeah.
Seeing as we're gonna spend all our building maintenance money, are we gonna plan this so it'll be in the new year when we have money for more building maintenance? I mean, we can set it up, but how we can pay for it.
Well, I think oh, you mean in July, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're headed.
Okay,
So we have the quotes in place. We don't really have a lot of options.
so that price you gave us, of about 9,500 in our building fund, was that including the money that we have in our fund balance?
No, it is not.
Oh. So do have that money in there.
In addition, yeah. If we want to use
All
it,
right,
it's there.
I just like to know where we're standing.
So the 9,200, the 9,500 is currently in building maintenance fund. It is not coming from anywhere else. And the technology side, the new server's installed. So, which is a good thing. Really worried about that going in. The new server is a dual mirrored system. And so it's much safer, much more stable than where we had before. The new workstation for the emergency manager won't be until May. And then Starlink, we're using it right now, but it will be installed soon. We're waiting for a couple more parts to come from Starlink, so we can get it up on the outside of the building. And we wanted to test the Palmer system, which we're doing right now. Next one.
Which is just this bar here. And is that a microphone and a camera?
It's camera, automatic camera, microphones and speaker. So if anybody from outside was speaking into the meeting, you'd hear them through this.
And does it move?
It automatically tracks the speaker when it's put in that setting. I'm kind of manually overriding it so we can see all of you right now, but it does track the speaker.
It's not that one of those owls, is it?
It's similar technology. This is a little bit higher end, but similar technology.
Okay, thank you.
So this system here, this bar here is about $4,000, I guess, and then there's an $800 pad that comes with the system. And this is the concept of having a turnkey system where you can just come in and hit the button on the pad and go forward. It simplifies it about as much as it can be simple. Okay, so the next one is Cai Technologies. This one's also in red. So we had Cai come in to give us a quote to provide online mapping, online tax bills, online lister cards, online zoning permits, online payment, credit card, and upload utilities so that we can scan as we go forward and keep the system up and current. The best way to explain this or to look at it is if you look at the Morrisville website under listers, you'll see their mapping, and that's exactly what this is. So this would be replicating what Morrisville is doing. The best way to describe it is to go to the site and to look at it, because it's really quite amazing. I mean, you can pull up all aspects of a lister card, etc. and this gets us closer to not being 100% dependent on the office here and people coming into the office. Real estate agents and so forth, I think would love this quite a bit. And also, I think it kind of reduces the need for full-time staff on site to the degree that we have it now. So this has a one-time fee of $17,000. It's ARPA eligible. And after that, it's an annual recurring fee of $4,000. That also is ARPA eligible until December 31st of 2026. So that $4,000 is an ongoing annual maintenance fee. We can, if we decide to use ARPA money for that, get a little bit of a head start on it until the year 2026. And delivery with all of the historical maps and so forth uploaded and tested is 3 to 4 months from signing. What I'd like to propose at this point is, or actually ask the board your level of interest in continuing to pursue this. Because I think that we would probably want to, before approving any money, have the rep come in and do a demonstration and answer questions for her. So I guess really what I'm looking for in this is if the interest is there among the board, I'll take the next step and we'll schedule this rep.
I have a question. Are we able to, at some point, charge a fee for this usage?
Well, the credit card, online payment for using a credit card, there's a built-in 3%. That goes to the credit card company. I don't know that anybody.
It's state law that you can, it's no different than them coming in and if they want a copy of a map, we can only charge what it costs us to produce that, not even our labor. So whatever the cost of that piece of paper is, which we figured out was 10 cents, that's all we can charge for them to get all those. Now by state law, you can charge $1 for land records. But everything is in statute. And so we are here to provide for the public.
I just see as it's going to be costing the town money rather than a convenience.
It is, but what, so,
We don't pay the convenience fee, the person does.
now he means the convenience of coming, of doing it at home versus coming.
Right.
So what's evolving though is that you might see in the future less listers or less work time or less people are coming in to the office. That's how people do all their research now. If someone wants a copy of their tax bill, instead of interrupting the office to go find it and print it off, they just print it off at home. It's just kind of the way things seem to be evolving.
I also think it ties into the discussion we had about listers and the inevitable eventuality of what go with an assessor. And in that environment, these things are going to just have to, they're necessary. Because an assessor is just that, they're an assessor. They do not produce these kinds of documents. documents. So I think, when the inevitable day comes, without this, I think we would be in a bad spot.
There is a bill right now in the legislature that the lawyers have a sponsor from the House, where all of the documents and stuff, they want them to be uniform, and they want them to be able to be available online, and they're willing to pay the fee to do that, but they want them to. During COVID, they found that a lot of town courts closed and they weren't accessible, and their business still had to go on. So this way, the real estate people would be able to sell their houses, even with COVID, and we would be able to do our work and do it online for them to access, not have to have them come in the office. And the lawyers could do their job by finding the documents online too. And consumers or taxpayers are wanting to find their tax bills online now, so they don't have to call us up and ask us for it, or their accountants do that.
And that's why this is all ARPA eligible.
It's just, I'm afraid the way of the future is coming. And pretty soon the state is going to be demanding it. Whether we want to do it now or we're not quite ready, I guess is the question. I would be very interested in seeing their presentation at this point. It isn't committing to anything.
Right. Yeah, I think it's worthwhile. I mean, they did this presentation for the town 4 years ago. I think, was it 3 or 4? And at that time, we didn't have the ARPA opportunity, so it was a big chunk of money. So it really is a key time to look at this.
The only question I have is, you said until December 31st, 2026. After that, we would have to pay from the town coffers of $4,000 a year.
Correct. That is correct. But I don't think it hurt to.
So you have to spend it by the 2024, but you can obligate it for the next 2 years past that.
Yeah. Because we'd be in the contract.
Right.
And they would guarantee it at $4,000 until 2026?
If we were going to a contract, yeah, I think so.
Well, we can ask if you're interested, if anyone else is interested in their coming, it's a question. Could ask them, and also I'd be interested in knowing how long the contract was. 2 years. How long is it? No, we'll ask them how long their contract would be going into the future. So there's other questions you have.
I have the full offer here. It's about 25 pages long, so I can reproduce it here.
Okay.
But the final quote page. So if anybody wants to read it, I do. Okay, maybe we can go to the next one. Harper Survey, this is just kind of an FYI. The objective was to kind of go out to the public and ask how the public felt about how to spend ARPA money. And I seeded the questionnaire with several questions that had been suggestions or had been talked about in other towns, etc. And then I was in hope that there would also be suggestions. It would kind of spark people's thinking, and they might have additional suggestions So we're about halfway there for the goal that I arbitrarily set, which is 100 responses. We got 51 responses. Primarily, they came from Front Porch Forum. We do have a paper copy that's on the counter over here, and I've gotten a couple of those that have been filled in. But there's a trend that is, I think there is a trend. And so the high support areas have been outdoor recreation. And I think what is really meant by that is town forest, because that was grouped into the question. Town match for major projects and water and sewer improvements. Low support were 911 signs. Assist your fellow citizens, got very low support. Land records, what we just talked about, CAI, had relatively low support. Because the audience that we went out to was Wolcott residents and not the larger world where those online land records are so helpful. So this is kind of an FYI, it's a work in progress. I would say by the next meeting we have, we'll have over 100 responses, but I would be shocked if this trend changes. And by the way, I encourage you to read the responses where people put in suggestions. They range from give the money back to the taxpayer to put it all into broadband to it's quite a range. But as far as what I was looking for was a pattern of something that we hadn't thought about that the public had an interest in. And I think once we get the 100 in, we'll see if there is a pattern of any sort. Okay, so we can go to the next one here.
So do we have many more? We're kind of, I wondered if we could come back. Is that a pain to come back?
Yeah, no, I think we're almost there.
Okay.
So I'll go really quickly. So the road crew's going to do a 4-day week. I think it's it's the right time to do it because they're out grading and much more efficient if they are doing it during all the entire daylight period. Grading is a high priority. Road segment survey is something that we're working on with Dylan. And the road postings are to come down next week, next Monday. Next one we can go to.
It looks like the wind took a lot of them down.
It took them down anyway, right? Transfer station, this is just a quick update. Bulk day is on Saturday. Wolcott residents only. There's a second roll-off that Matt has put up there. Excavator will be on site with Joey to put it into the roll-off. And I was hoping Richard was going to be here because I wanted to ask him to volunteer to be a monitor since he knows who's a Wolcott resident, who's not. And then next thing is green up day is May 7th. Bags are here. Road captains have been assigned to 3 roads. And then we'll have a distribution desk at the gazebo with chili and snacks, we hope. So I think that's it.
I can come up and be a monitor too if Richard can't.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think that's the last one. So, okay. So we're done.
Thank you. Any other questions for?
No, but if Richard can't do it, I can help on Saturday.
So we have Susan Alexander, Sarah here. And Phil?
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
Hi, Linda.
Welcome. How are you?
Well, thanks everyone for having us. Sounds like you guys are really busy. You have a lot going on. So we won't take up a lot of your time. In fact, as we were sitting here listening, I was trying to remember the genesis of the of this meeting, and sort of it evades me at this moment. But going to give you the quick 5-cent tour of what the district has been up to. Give you an opportunity to meet Sarah, who's our outreach and education person. And then, of course, Phil is there, and happy to coordinate this conversation with introducing what we do, Phil, and all getting to know each other so that we can see how we can best serve the town of Wolcott. So with that said, I feel like coming around the corner like that, what is it, 10 Bends Road in Morrisville. I feel like we've been around 3 or 4 bends, and maybe we're coming around the next bend. Who knows what's coming next? But like most folks coming out of COVID, we're just really keeping up with all of our activities. The main thing we've been struggling with is having enough labor, of course, to staff all of our facilities. In fact, we had to make a very difficult decision last, I guess it was last summer or fall. We had to close the Eden facility. We just didn't have the capacity to keep that staffed. So we basically shifted over operations from Eden to Johnson, which has, everyone has access to Johnson. It's a full service facility, and we can collect a lot more materials there. Little bit of a clunky transition, but now it's running really very smoothly. The Solid Waste District Board, of which Phil is a member, your representative, just passed the budget for FY23, and we will not be raising any of our rates, which is great. We try and keep those as low as possible. We are going to be doing some capital construction projects, so we will be drawing a little bit on our cash reserves to do that, but there are things that have been in the works for a while, and as you may or may not know, it's very hard to get contractors to do these smaller projects. So $10,000 to $15,000 projects, you can put them out to bid all you want, and it's very difficult to find someone who's going to come and do those. But that's the plan, get those bids out there now and accomplish them sometime in our next fiscal year. And our compost program is really flourishing. I just wanted to let you all know that we've screened probably 80 to 100 cubic yards of Lamoille soil, as we call it, and it will be ready for sale this Friday at our Johnson facility. We also do refills at Johnson, Morrisville, and Stowe. Bring your own bucket, fill it up yourself. It's $3 a 5-gallon bucket. It's a really good deal, and it's really great looking compost this year. So the only other thing I really wanted to discuss a little bit was to let you know that we have launched our cardboard baling program, which I think is, last time I met with you, was sort of one of the programs that we were talking about maybe doing some kind of collaboration with the town of Wolcott. We have been successfully baling corrugated cardboard, or as it's known in the industry, OCC, since November, and we've had, I believe, 4 tractor trailer loads leave our Stowe facility. We're only doing this at Stowe at this point. And the main benefit to doing this, separating it out from what's going to the MRF, is the avoided cost. As you know, you're paying to take your recyclables over to Hyde Park, and then you pay a tipping fee there. From Stowe, we pay $200 every time a 40 cubic yard compacted box is hauled. And then we're paying $128 a ton when it's tipped there. So what that really translates to is about $160 a ton. Meanwhile, we're moving trash out of Stowe at $90 a ton. That's tipping and disposal. So significant savings if we can keep it out of the traditional recycling stream. And we currently, if I can remember the number, we're in the $70 to $80 a ton. By the time we've accounted for all our labor, we actually get paid now for that cardboard that goes out. So we have to pay for the labor, pay for our investment in the baling. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we have figured it out for Stowe. It's going really well. And if that's something that the town of Wolcott wants to pursue. I'm not sure if you guys are still collecting cardboard separately up there. I think Dana had you doing that at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, we actually have put in another roll-off, which is exclusively for cardboard. Nothing else goes in that roll-off. And that's, and yeah, thank you for being here, because that's one of the questions that we've been trying to understand. This was mentioned last time that we met about the baling and so forth. But I kind of lost where the logistics work. So we're collecting them, and Matt Sweet is driving off with a full roll of cardboard, nothing but cardboard. And I'm not sure if we're taking full advantage of having a roll-off like that or not. Does the baling need to happen can it go to Stowe?
Well, that's a great question. I think that's what we should investigate. I guess what I would ask you to investigate on your side is if Sweet is hauling it, you have to pay hauling fee, right? So when Sweet hauls it over to Hyde Park, what are you paying for tipping there? Are they giving you a break on the tipping fee because it's a nice pure cardboard load?
No, they're
that
not.
makes it
As far as I know, they're not.
Sweet prices recycle.
It's $196 something to haul it, and then it's the regular Casella recycling fee.
Okay.
So I think we're missing an opportunity.
Yeah, so that could be. So that's good to know that you are, yeah, we can work on the numbers, what you're paying for hauling and tipping. And the executive or the, yeah, I guess it was executive committee, if not the full board, did discuss this a couple of months ago. Once we figured out how the program was working, would we invite other organizations, businesses to bring their cardboard to our facility? So there would be a tipping fee, of course, but it would most likely be less than what you're paying, because that's why we do it. It's when we figure out what we have to pay to tip it at Hyde Park versus putting our own labor and buying the baler, it's really the cost avoidance that makes a huge difference for us.
Yeah.
So let me bring that back to the executive committee. We'll be meeting in about 2 weeks. And if that's something that we can pursue, probably would have our facility manager come over, talk to the folks running the facility, put together some kind of an agreement, because the main thing would be contamination. It would have to be super, super clean. You know, there's rules on what can go in there and what can't go in there. And we would help you with, you know, setting that up for your employees and for your customers, your public. So,
Just be
but I'm glad to hear that you say again, sorry.
Just be core.
That's the difference is we're all taking.
We're taking everything.
Exactly.
We'd have to separate the core.
It's just corrugated that we can bale. We haven't started baling anything else. But I think we might also want to talk to you guys about glass. That might be another separation that might make sense to you. We started separating out our glass over a year ago now. And instead of going to the MRF, you know, being hauled to Hyde Park and then hauling and tipping, we haul it to All Metals and we pay $45 a ton there instead of $128 a ton. And glass is the heaviest part of what you're shipping in those boxes because you don't have compacted boxes.
So glass is being collected in a separate container and then transported to All Metals?
That's what we do. We put it in a 40 cubic yard roll-off box. Sweet Trucking picks it up, hauls it to All Metals. And it's because we have a contract with an organization called NRRA. And because you're a member of the district, you would be covered under that contract if you wanted to participate in that program. There are a couple of benefits. Again, cost avoidance on the full-on tipping fee at the transfer station Hyde Park. It's also a cleaner material. So That's why they can tip it for a lot less. It's got much higher value on the market, even though glass in general is a low market product, but it's higher than glass that comes out of the MRF, because by the time it's gone through and gotten mixed up with paper and metal and everything else, it's a lower quality material. So those are two that you might want to explore long-term for operations at your facility.
How do people put it in these roll-offs though? They don't just throw them in, do they? And they all break?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if it breaks, but
Oh,
you
it
don't want
doesn't?
it shattering and jumping up at someone. What we do is we keep a smaller container where the recycling boxes are, and then people put their individual wine bottles, spaghetti sauce jars into this smaller container. So glass is easy to separate out, as is cardboard. We'll probably never do plastics. They're too complicated. There are too many questions about 1s, 2s, and 3s, So that's why it's successful, because the customers have adapted very quickly. They put it in a smaller container, and then we use our Bobcat or our wheel loader, pick it up, and then dump it into the larger container. So
Yeah,
you'd have different logistics, because everything you do is over the wall, or maybe you just do a shorter box where people can, the smaller boxes are about 4 feet high.
That's interesting. Where do we go to learn more about both that and well, I guess you're going to talk to your board about the cardboard.
Right. I'll just address it with the board. We've had this conversation before. We just weren't ready to offer it to anyone because we hadn't really, done the complete cost analysis for ourselves until last month. Now that we know that it is a viable program and we'll keep doing it, it's just a matter of what we think we'd have to charge to accept it, the logistics of how you would collect it, make sure that we do a lot of education and upfront, conversations with your customers so they know exactly what can go in there. And, you're already paying Sweet to truck it. So that cost stays the same. It would just be, the tipping fee would be lower.
Right.
So I'll circle back with that, and I'll show you our numbers on the glass program and how we do it. I can put together a little report, or if anybody wants to come visit our facility, we can give you the 15-cent tour. It's not that complicated. It's just a matter of how you would adapt your facility to be able to do that logistically. And then again, because you're a member of the district, we pay a membership fee for all of our 12 towns to belong to this organization.
So are you typically charged for glass, or charge the customer for glass?
Yeah, we still continue to charge the customer the same recycling rate we always have. If you've got 5 bins, it's $5 a bin, or $1 for every 15-gallon bin. And then they separate once they've paid their fee, they go in and they do their separation. And right now, only glass and cardboard, OCC, the corrugated cardboard, not box boards, cereal boxes, pizza boxes, nothing like that, just the corrugated, the Amazon boxes, think of it that way. And boy, do we get a lot of it.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to us. I mean, during COVID, Amazon went crazy, and all of those boxes ended up at the transfer station, but we couldn't handle it because it was killing our recycling bin. Right. And so we added another roll-off, but I don't think we're we're not strategically thinking about like bundling and so forth so that we can reduce our costs, because that roll-off did nothing but throw our costs down. Right. Well, let me bring it to the board. They can figure out if they're ready to accept it and what fee, and we'll circle back and let you know. And then again, anybody wants to tour the facility and see how we do it, we'd be happy to help you set up a glass program as well. Just keep us posted. And I guess, Linda, do I send the information to you once I get it?
Kurt, to the town manager, our town administrator.
Okay,
Do you have that? So Kurt is now our project manager. Using the town administrator's email. Do you have that?
no, go ahead.
Town administrator at wolcottdt.org.
Got it. All right, that's all I wanted to share with you. Any questions, I'm happy to answer, but otherwise, I wanted to introduce Sarah and let her tell you a little bit about what she's working on. And then Phil, if you have anything you want to contribute or share, please do.
Thanks, Susan. Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm the new outreach coordinator for the district. I'm not sure whether you knew Ellie, my predecessor, but she was here for 10 years. And so I'm new to the area. I moved here from Grand Isle. And so Susan and I were talking, and it seemed like getting to know our select boards and our towns would be just a really great opportunity for me to get more familiar with our community. My main responsibilities are fulfilling our mission of reducing the quantity of trash and toxicity of going to the landfill. So really working with businesses, citizens, schools on composting, why it's important, why we should recycle, why it helps, the earth, and why we want to keep Lamoille and our local areas clean and environmentally friendly. So one thing that would be great to hear from you, if you're able, would be just anything about your community that would be helpful to know if there are any events. For example, we've been in touch with Johnson and Tuesday Night Live and their summer events. I've been in touch with Principal Foster at the elementary school, and I'm hoping in the fall to get out there kind of regularly and work with the students. I believe Ellie had done that a lot in the pre-COVID days, and hoping things will get a little bit more back to normal next year. But this summer, with the weather changing and everything, being a lot nicer out, if there are any community events that are either annual or kind of regular, ongoing, where it would make sense for me to be there to talk with people about composting, putting the district out there and just letting people know that we're available as a resource to answer any of these questions, and also to make things easier for your facility. So again, if you were to change your glass and cardboard protocols, I could work with you on that as well. So info booth, I mentioned Tuesday Night Live, the music festival in Johnson. I've been in touch with the farmers markets and some of our other towns. I live in Worcester, and we work, obviously our office is in Morrisville, so I'm a little bit more familiar with those areas, and I haven't been out to Wolcott yet. So any insights that you're able or willing to provide would be great. We just want to be here as a resource for you. And you don't have to answer that right now. We can be in touch. I can send you my email. And yeah, that's just the introduction that we wanted to give. So I'm trying to get to all of the towns. You're our first town that we're visiting and meeting with the select board. So thank you for having us. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, so, can you hear me?
Yes.
So what are you doing this Saturday?
This Saturday?
You were asking about do we do any events? So
Mhm.
the town of Wolcott has we call it a litter committee, and it's a group of volunteers that is concerned about litter. We do things like put signage around town. It's called "The Love Where You Live, Please Don't Litter." And most recently, the reason I mentioned Saturday is that we're experimenting with a bulk trash day. And so it's a one-time thing. We have an extra roll-off that we've gotten. So Wolcott citizens, they have to be Wolcott residents rather, can bring up things like mattresses, furniture, up to 3 tires, all of the things that you see in the woods around this time. And that's our objective. We want to encourage people, they know it's expensive to get rid of big items like this. And so this is a one-day thing. And so we've invited people to come up on Saturday, and it'll be no charge to the customer. Now, we may be overwhelmed, but now Craftsbury did this last year. So we kind of use Craftsbury guidance on this. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. The other thing that I know that we have a resident who is sometimes comes to the litter committee meetings, but he's an enthusiast around the Lamoille River. And so he kayaks with a group of friends, and their objective is to pick up garbage along the river, especially, Wolcott to Morrisville.
Mhm.
But basically, we're concerned about, and I believe he applied for some kind of assistance from you guys. Yeah.
Yes, is it Andy?
Andy Duff, yeah.
Yes, yeah, he applied, and that was the other thing we were gonna bring to your attention, just to flag for you, for our community cleanup grants. We offer up to $500 will cover the cost of disposal for kind of like a massive cleanup site in each of the towns. Massive is maybe the wrong word, but a big thing that benefits the overall community. So he and his group did apply, and their proposal was approved at our meeting, I believe it was like 2 weeks ago. So hopefully they'll get out there this summer once the river's lower
Yep.
and do that, which is really great.
Yep.
So we're happy to be able to work with him on that.
Good. And are these
so-
grants available project by project based, or is it like an annual thing, or?
Currently, the way that it's set up is each town, there's one per year. And our fiscal year actually ends in July, or the end of June. So technically, this year there would be another opportunity if there was someone else in Wolcott who wanted to apply. But that's the current setup. Because again, we don't want to be encouraging people to just keep dumping trash. And I think what you're doing with the bulk drop off this weekend is really great. I've noticed a lot more trash in advance of Green Up Day on my commute.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we're also, we're trying to be more and more aggressive on Green Up Day. And so that's always good and works out really well.
Mhm. That's great. Well, if I'd be happy to come out for a couple of hours this Saturday if it would be helpful. I could just hang out or see. I don't want to be in the way, and I know maybe you don't know exactly how things are going to shake out, but if that would be helpful.
Yeah, it's entirely up to you. I was semi joking.
Okay.
But it's 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock.
9 to 1. Okay.
Yeah, and the parking is like super limited, so it might be a walk up the road.
Okay. Great. Well,
Is it
I'll take a look at things and maybe let you know either way. I mean, I won't set anything up, but just, get to know people and let people know.
Yeah. I mean, I think people do have questions. And I've worked the transfer station a few times, and people really have questions about, is this recyclable? Yes,
Mhm.
it's amazing. And so
Confusing.
and composting, there's even more questions about that.
Mhm.
By the
Yeah,
way,
well, that's what we're here for. So if there's ever anything, send them to me. I can give you my email. I'm happy to meet with people in person as well. So.
By the way, composting is a losing proposition for the transfer station right now. I don't know if that's the case for other transfer stations. It's
Did you say
because
composting? Sorry, you kind of cut out.
it's a losing proposition. We're losing money on it. And I think it's because it's being we used a black
Collector.
Yeah. And that's the expensive part. I think it's being picked up too often. Right.
Well, I don't know if we need two of them. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the problem, I think, sometimes.
It used to be once every 2 weeks, and now I think it's every week.
You
Yeah.
need to fill one all the way up. You don't need to pick up both of them, I don't think, all the time.
And that's the kind of thing we need some advice on, because we don't know. We just kind of take their word for it and say we got to pick up. But the pickups are from a P&L standpoint, the pickups are happening too often. Yeah.
Mhm.
We have a similar situation to that in Worcester, because we do have totes there, and because Worcester is so kind of out of our regular transportation routes, it used to be Grow Compost that picked them up, and now it's Casella picking them up. And we had to be very clear and very strict about only filling one at a time, and they only pick up whatever we leave out for them to pick out. So if there's 2 totes, we put one out. If it gets filled up, we leave it there for them to pick up. If the other one only gets filled a quarter, we pull it back into the shed and we don't let them take it because it is expensive. We
Yeah.
charge $1 for up to 5 gallons. And I forget how big those are, like 32 gallon. So, you know, if everybody's bucket was 5 gallons full, you'd only get, you know, 7 buckets worth in there, $7. And I think we pay either $21 or $23 a tote to have that taken. And again, we lose money on that one as well. Trying to figure out something better on that. One of the things Black Dirt Farm is doing right now is a pilot project in Hardwick where they're getting residents together to share a tote so that, you know, if there is like, you know, an easy collection of say 10 houses and they all shared it, the expense then gets shared by the homeowners. Would work nice in the little neighborhoods of Hardwick. I'm not sure it works in Wolcott because of your, you know, like many towns, just don't have the population density of true neighborhoods perhaps. But Black Dirt Farm is always looking for more efficient ways for people to separate out their food scraps because they're pretty much religious zealots about composting. They want everyone to do it and they are very mindful of the cost. But as you say, it doesn't work out well if you look at just, you know, what you can bring in for income to cover that expense of having it hauled off site.
So we are hoping to have a community event, be our second one. We're going to set the date tonight, though, either the end of August, the beginning of September. So that might be a good time. We have different booths for our community to view. So when we decide that, we can get back to you on that.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, please let me know. We've got a table and tent and everything that we can set up. So yeah, that would be great if there's room.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Well, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Again.
Want to say anything, Phil?
Yeah, I don't have anything specific, I just want to be here tonight.
Yeah.
Richard, when I was on the board, I was the representative for Johnson for 4 or 5 years, and then I moved to town a year and a half ago.
Right.
And found me pretty quickly to get on the board. So I haven't been able to make it down yet. So but yeah, I mean, I can pass along information as it comes along.
That's great. Excellent. Yeah, we should exchange email addresses or, oh, you have it? Okay, great, thanks. No, it's wonderful. Hey, have you spent any time up at the transfer station?
Yes, I go there sometimes.
Yeah. So we've been very lucky that we've been able to hang on to our one employee there. And so we hold him tight. We don't want anything to happen to him. Okay, well, great.
Great, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Good
Bye.
night.
Have you been to other transfer stations or at all to see how they're run?
Well, yeah, like in Johnson, it was, because I was a district transfer station, that's much more, it's just a bigger operation. So yeah, I mean, definitely, I feel, comments and me, community questions, and there's a lot more going on there. The composting facility and the compact trash recycling there, they take a lot more things. I mean, not that we need to be.
Right. I think what we need to do is be more efficient, and have someone come look in. When you go to Stowe, I know I go there to take all the things we don't take.
Right, yeah.
Like pellet bags and batteries, and so they have quite a very organized, neat setup, but they have one person taking the money and then they have another person inside. Well, they have a lot of people there, but inside directing in all these separate little bins where people have to come in and separate their
Well,
recycling.
we should talk to them, we can talk about taking plastic bags, so that's one thing that they do for compacting also. Building cardboard, currently compacting is plastic bags, because that
The
saves,
pallet bags,
yeah. 'Cause that also saves a ton of. We still are shipping them in all of them, but when you compact them, you can reduce the size. 90%.
right? Well, we don't even take them.
Well, true, the district charges a fee to take them.
So
And then
yeah.
Carpenter is now beyond. That is also, I think. So yeah, that's certainly, yeah, that would matter that way too.
I think educating our public is a priority too. And they throw whatever they want in recycling.
Yeah, it's not always clear what is not recycling. Yeah, when I worked in college, I worked did recycling outreach and education. So like even like, you know, like when you see like a Pringles can that has like cardboard and aluminum, you know, generally, as far as I understand, that's not recyclable. You know, there are ins and outs of like what.
Right. So maybe when Sarah comes, you can set up a booth and educate us.
Yeah, it'd be great to be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live on the other side of town, close to Elmore. My wife works for the planning commission.
Right. Megan.
Yeah, and Johnson, I was on the trustee board, and I was involved, much more involved, I guess. Johnson.
Great.
We do that way low.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, great, thank you.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you for volunteering.
Yeah, it was great to meet you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is Alan Carpenter. He lives in North Wolcott, and Kurt Billings. He lives in the village here. Oh, man. We met Kurt before, Kurt Klein.
Yeah.
From West Hill. His wife Deb, who is our scribe, and Dolan is helping us with IT, and you know Belinda.
And I'm also on your side of town,
Yeah.
Richard Wolcott Road.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're just off the Elmore.
Douglas Road.
Oh, okay.
It's barely like two parcels of.
Yeah.
So.
Great.
Okay, right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So Elliot's here. Should we take him in though he's on the last of it, but is that on the board? Elliot Waring is Wolcott School Board election. It's at the end of our agenda, but he's on because we've really run over. I'm not blaming you. I like to be informed. So, and the only thing I'm feeling with this is the volume coming out is hurting my ears.
Ooh,
And I don't know if it is anyone else, but it's,
I have volume control. I'm behind it, so I don't hear it. So happy to just tell me what you like. Well, I guess we'll hear how loud Elliot is.
okay.
I'm nervous now. I'm gonna speak very softly.
No, that's okay. I knew he could
Speak normally,
control
I
it,
can control it.
but it was
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah. And I will say the audio from the room there is kind of cutting out a little bit. So hopefully I can hear what people are saying if there are any questions or responses, but things might need to be repeated. But should I just go ahead and explain why I'm here?
yeah, it has to be on the agenda. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I forwarded an email to Linda, and I think it maybe got forwarded on to Kurt too. I'm just trying to look, but the basic thing is an email that I got from Brittany Curry, who's the finance officer for OSSU for the school district. And last spring of 21, when we had to do multiple budget votes, there was grant money that could be used to mail out ballots to voters, which we used. And it was Belinda told the district that it was free grant money and it was a town directed grant, and that other towns in the district had used the same money. And unfortunately, the town, Belinda, not sure exactly who, hasn't reimbursed the district yet. And the email chain that I forwarded has unfortunately sort of months of no responses from Belinda, it sounds like. And now we're to the point where because the work wasn't done when it needed to be done, there's no money left. Like the window for applying for and getting money from the grant has expired. So now the district is on the hook for a bill, $2,903.69 bill that we had been told the town was going to be able to get the funds to reimburse for. And so, basically the district is asking that the town, sort of fulfill that promise and reimburse that. And unfortunately, it seems like the issue is just, the work wasn't done to access the sort of federal grant money on an appropriate timeline. And so now this is where we are.
So, so I let Taylor know that there was a possibility, because the Secretary of State's office had let me know that there was a possibility that they could be reimbursed. Taylor never got me the invoices until I repeatedly asked her. I sent her the form that she could have asked directly from the Secretary of State's office. But instead, she sent everything to me, and then I sent it on to the Secretary of State's office. And my information was they were going to see if they had money left. And eventually they came back with no, there was no money left. Has the school reached out to the Secretary of State's office?
I'm trying to, the email chain that I have is all the information I have. I've looked through it. And I don't know. I'm trying to
because the town was reimbursed for ours, but I got it in a timely manner. But yeah. I couldn't submit anything to the state until the school got it to me.
Yeah. It seems like there's obviously some sort of miscommunication here between what the district thought was happening and what the town thought was happening. And I really, that's what we need to get to the bottom of is, and I wish I had a more thorough kind of email chain of all the communication. So
would you have that?
I have exactly what he has.
I mean,
I have the one who initially I talked to Taylor about, but I also sent her this form. So I don't understand why the school didn't go directly to the state, because I let her know that she could do that.
Yeah, I would, I definitely want to figure this out. And so Belinda, if you have those emails, if you want to, forward, if there's one chain or a chain or two or something, or some emails with that have that direct language, I would love, if you want to forward those on to me, and then I can use that and sort of figure out, because like I said, I've only been presented this one side of it. And so that's part of this too, is trying to figure it out. So yeah, if you have that. I have
to say that I didn't get a response right away. I mean, I sent mine in after each election. Of course, the town only had the one. But after each election, any expense I had, I sent in and they reimbursed us.
Mhm.
I think it's because maybe they only were gonna do it for the first, but it wasn't presented to me at the time, so after the third vote, everything was given to me, and then I sent it in, and the paperwork shows I did send it in. And I had no response for a long time, but I thought that they were paying the school, not us. Because I did, put right up on there, Wolcott Town School District.
Yeah, yeah, from the way, again, reading through this, it looks like it was a reimbursement from the town, so it would have gone through the town offices. And again, this, I'm, you know, I have a relatively limited scope of information in these emails. So yeah, I think it seems like the best thing would be if you, yeah, if you have any of that communication with Taylor, or, you know, anything saying, you know, any of the forms that got submitted or anything with the dates or anything like that, that I can then go back and sort that out. And then, yeah, we can figure it out from there, because yeah, like I said, it seems like there's more of a miscommunication issue.
And who is Taylor?
Taylor's the receptionist. She's the one I dealt with besides Brittany. She brought down the ballots for to be mailed out, you know, the mailings, everything. She's the receptionist.
So we're gonna leave it that Belinda's gonna email you and the board,
Yep.
her thread and stuff, and if you feel like we need to regroup again, we can do that in May. If not, just let us know that it's been resolved, all right?
Yeah, exactly. Once I get some, and Belinda, you can just send it just to me, just like it doesn't have to go to the whole board. It seems a little easier, a little easier.
No problem.
And yeah, and then I can take that and you know, have a conversation with Brittany and other folks at the central office and just sort of see if we can figure out where the breakdown happened and go from there. And if we need to, you know, come back into the select board for any reason, obviously I'll reach out and we can get on the agenda. But really just wanted to, yeah, get some visibility on it and get the ball rolling.
I think it should come to the board as well.
Yeah, he brought us the issue.
You guys cut out. I don't know if there was a question or what's happening. Sorry.
I think the email should go to us too, because you brought us the issue.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. The any communication from Belinda or any communication I have with Brittany in the central office.
I guess the thread that we're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anyone who wants to be looped in, I think that's great. You know, the more eyes on it, the more people understand what's happening. I think that's, I got no problem with that.
And see, at some point, it seems that the Secretary of State must have indicated that the money's not available.
There was a certain time limit on it.
And so they must have sent an email regarding that or something.
Well, see, at the time in COVID and stuff, you would send emails to them, and sometimes they would call you, and sometimes they would send emails, depending upon who you talk to. But I will give you guys everything I have.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so then I can know what questions need to be asked on the SU side of things.
Okay, and you'll just let us know if you resolved it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Or if there's more questions or conversation, and should all that conversation come through the select board or just go through, you know, the town offices and Belinda as the clerk, or
Like board is fine.
through the at least
Yeah.
the fluid.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Through the select board, yeah.
Great. I just don't want, I don't want to be eating up valuable time in meetings, because I know I know there, yeah, lots to be done.
Okay,
Great,
thank you.
awesome. Well, thanks for your time. And
Now with the emails, we probably can resolve this quickly.
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
thank
that'll be
you.
great. Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Town Forest Management Committee. Ready to move on, or does anyone else have anything else to say? Do you want to say anything more, Evelyn?
No, I let them know several times that I hadn't heard anything from the Secretary of State's office and that they should reach out themselves. And then they asked me, who did I speak to? And I said, just call the elections department. And I thought they had taken care of it.
It looks like they've been reaching out since November of 2021. They reached out about 10 times regarding this.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think at the end, when the Secretary of State Department said that this money just isn't there, that would probably help resolve this with Elliot.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have that, then
See, I really feel that the school should have gone directly to the Secretary of State's because that grant was there for any elections. And they kind of put me in the middle by sending me all the invoices and stuff. But I had sent the form to her and told her she could send it directly.
Maybe because you were the treasurer? I don't know. You're the school district treasurer?
Yeah, but it had nothing to do with, it was the elections.
Right, that's true, yeah.
And the second two were only school elections. There was no town election. So we didn't have any expense,
this is because they had to do a second round on budget, right?
second and third.
Did they get paid for any of that? No.
But we did get paid the first time, the first,
For the
time.
school?
We had done everything,
Oh,
so. We
so it
paid for
didn't
everything.
cost them?
No, so I went directly to the grant and it paid for everything. And the school didn't pay for any of the ballots or anything. It was only the second and the third, they had to buy them themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, so anyway, there's a $2,900 bill hanging out. I guess we'll wait till, Elliot gets more information from his group.
We're not really responsible for their ballots. I mean, LHS they billed us for the new ballots and I sent a bill to the school to pay for the LHS ballots for them. They still haven't paid me, which is fine. We paid the bill and everything, but the school is supposed to pay for their own elections. Not town responsibility.
I think that just from what I see in the thread, they felt that it was somehow the responsibility of the town. Because there was over a year's worth of correspondence. And nowhere along the line that I can see did the town say, no, wait a minute, this is not our responsibility. What we said was, no, haven't heard from them yet, no response yet. But that was 10 times they reached out. So they must have assumed it was our responsibility.
Was it in the past, Linda? Did they?
Well, they didn't have these grants, so
Oh, okay.
it's I think they're more than willing to pay if it was a normal thing, but I think from what Elliot said, you told him about the grant.
Absolutely it is,
And
yes.
that, so they were counting on that.
Yeah, and the town did get reimbursed for ours.
But then that isn't a normal.
Right.
occurrence. All right, let's just wait until we hear back from the school board. Continue the conversation. Kurt Billings, are you getting my emails?
But I haven't looked since Saturday.
Because every time I email you, it says it's an invalid email address. You told me you're getting stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's because it's not addressed to a certain phone number. It just goes to
so
the
I
cloud.
should just ignore it.
Ignore it. Just goes to the cloud, and then I take it out of the cloud.
I get sick of it after a while.
Yeah, don't.
Okay. So, the Wolcott Community Forest Committee Charter, they had a draft last time you were here. I had Kate Warner from the Land Trust review it. She tweaked some things. Then Gordon Young wanted to look at it, and he tweaked a few things, not major changes, mostly grammar and moving things around with it. So I'm hoping that we can have a discussion, and if there's no major changes, we can adopt it tonight, because the board is looking for guidance when they meet next Monday.
So, I mean, I've read this over and I don't see any reason. I have no objection.
But just lays out, so what they need to do, how they're organized, what they need to produce at the end. And the addendum, I didn't make copies, but I can for you. The addendum is the board members. You can make a copy for you tonight for that, all the board members. I emailed it to you, but maybe you left. There was a copy of all the board members. That's the appendix in here. It refers to
Right.
The voting members. It says there are 16 appointed members to the committee who will have voting rights.
Okay.
And it's this appendix.
Right.
So they're like the charter members. Otherwise, it's a free-for-all. People come and go and they're voting, and, it's the committee's goal to bring a plan. So if you don't see anything wrong, does someone want to make a motion to adopt this charter so we can move it on to the committee?
Yeah, I'll make that motion to adopt the Community Forest Committee Charter.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Do you need to sign this?
Well, I don't know, but I was thinking about that while we were sitting. Well, first, let's vote. All in favor? Aye.
Can I
Opposed?
abstain because I'm on the membership?
If you feel like you want to, you can. Yeah, okay. So Kurt Billings will be abstaining. I thought about that after, and I do think that we should sign. I actually was thinking about that,
We need to sign this last page here.
right. All right. Special town meeting date and location. I did call Matt Foster, about dates. And he said either June 6th or June 21st works. School gets out June 14th. No one from the school board would be available to go to that meeting though, because they have a big, meeting in Hardwick that night,
Which night is that for
the
6 or
the 21st. So I would propose we hold the election June 7th.
June 7th.
Would that work for you, Lena?
Yep. And who will be doing up the warrant?
Or,
The only warnings I make is there's gonna be no.
But you will need to make a presentation because, you submitted the, petition.
So, and is the warning just going to be for the officers?
Yes,
Okay,
I believe so.
okay, not the budget, just the law officers. And is it school officers too, or just town?
School's a separate entity.
You would have to petition the school. School officers. Hi, how are you?
Good.
What's up, Dylan?
Nothing. I just wanted to say hi.
Oh, it's getting late.
Yeah.
Do you want?
Okay,
I guess if, I do not have a copy of the petition, so that's how I made the warning to you.
yes, I will get it to you.
All right. I'll write up the warning. It will need to go on the paper, you know.
What's the time?
6.
6. That is PM.
Pardon?
That is PM.
Yes. You won't see me at 6 a.m.
Well, there's 2 days, 2 times a day. Some people don't make them, but
Oh, I don't make it first. Everybody needs to go to school.
oh, 4 o'clock, I'll give you a call.
John, please.
So what else do we need? And anything else?
Linda, do you want me to record it?
If you want to. Thank you.
Yep.
We're community event proposed date. I was to come back with you with the day school starts. That school starts August 29th. The 2 days we were proposed was 8/23, I think, and 9/9. So we proposed.
Was it the 23rd, 26th?
But the 23rd is,
Fridays.
We were looking for Friday.
and it's, yeah, so it would be the 3rd or,
No, actually,
August 26th or September 9th. Yep, that's what I have.
so, and they start school on 29th.
So everybody would be home for the 26th. And we're worried about tomatoes. So.
What's the board like? Do you have a preference?
6.
Okay, August 26th and the rain date will be 9/9.
9/7, you mean?
9, no, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Start at 2, 3?
Well, it's a Friday, most people work, so it really worked good, I thought, 5 to 7.
It did.
It was a little longer, but it gave people time, you know, after they came home from work.
And people could get their booth set up, starting at 4 to 5, so, yeah.
Here at the parking area.
Mhm. I tentatively reached out to the fire department, they're okay, I'm gonna make sure they can grill, and I've already asked the library.
I'll see if I can get hamburger again. Should I get more than I did last time?
Yeah, I think so.
Don't get the veggie, no one ate them.
Yes, they did, they ran out.
I forgot.
No, I'm saying regular ones with like hotcakes, the veggie burgers were at the end.
So we got 60, we got 15 pounds and it made 60 burgers. So why don't we try for 25 pounds? And that would give us about 100 burgers.
At least.
Okay.
Yeah, we can work on that, as we go.
Okay.
I'll pull out all the notes I had from before. So we can assign people stuff to work on. The Cannabis Control Commission resolution. Did you want to talk at all about this? I did type up one that I put on your desk. But
this makes perfect sense. Was this a template?
so this comes out of the back, exactly out of the back of,
Guess I didn't.
well, there's 3 things you can download.
Yeah, I get
The
it.
guidance for the local cannabis commissions, it's on the back of this, it's a sample resolution. And you just put in the stuff. In typing it up, I got to reading it though, and does it mean that this commission it'll go through the zoning regulations for approval and then come to us? Is this in lieu of going through zoning for towns that don't have zoning? I got a little bit confused.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it's, if we are going to put our own, if the Wolcott Cannabis Control is going to put restrictions or permit restrictions on it, that would go through zoning bylaws.
Right, there's only 2 ways. There's tweaking zoning, but not too much. Or having an ordinance also that deals with signs and public nuisance. But that's about all that we have any control over.
Right.
And I was just confused about the order of how this would work if you read it. So the local control commission, could be us, may issue and administer local control license for cannabis establishment within the municipality. So do we issue those licenses in conjunction with zoning, or do we issue them after they've gone through the zoning process and we think they meet the zoning regulations? That's my confusion.
Yeah, you know, maybe we need to ask some clarification. My impression is that if the local commission wants to put restrictions, first the applicant has to come with a state license. Then they would be reviewed at a public hearing by the DRB. And at that point, if the if it meets the zoning bylaws, then a conditional use permit is given to the applicant, and that is the permit.
So if that is the permit, why do we need us?
Well, because we would be the ones that would put together the restrictions, the zoning bylaws.
Hmm,
Or not.
the planning commission is the one that
The
does
planning
that.
commission does that.
Yeah, and we as select board members can direct that board, the planning board, on how we'd like them to make the changes.
Right. Okay.
We as a select board can adopt an ordinance if there's things that don't fit into the zoning, and we regulate that. I just didn't understand why. I don't know, there's so many questions. Every time I read this, I have
Well,
more and more questions in my head. I typed it up just because I felt frantic that we set this forward, and there's two things you have to do right off. The first thing is we have to notify the state cannabis control board our vote and who the contact person is in town that things should go through. That's step one. Step two is if we are gonna have a local commission, we have to have a resolution. So I wasn't sure where we were.
Can we take the time to contact the state cannabis control directly and ask these questions?
Yeah,
Because I don't know the answer, I'm guessing.
and the one thing I did learn was that so a cannabis establishment license, so it says, whereas prior to issuing a cannabis establishment license, I'm not sure. So the definition of a cannabis establishment are 5 things: cultivation, retail, wholesale, whatever. But our town only voted to allow retail.
Yeah, and everything else is allowed.
Right. But just, I'm bringing that up because it took me a while to understand that they're all called establishments.
Yeah.
Even though you think cultivating cannabis is like agriculture, but that's considered an establishment. One of the 5 cannabis establishments.
Yeah, I think it's worth for everybody to read through this, and then to highlight it. So they did come through different pages, which, yeah, if you read this thing, it's pretty, it's good. I mean, it kind of gives you a good grasp of what the law is going for. There's always going to be little questions like that one that we're going to have to resolve.
And if you go on the website for the Cannabis Control Board, there's also guidance for local commissions and guidance for buffer zones, and the only place buffer zones can be is from schools. There's not much that we can do other than that.
So I'll do a follow-up on this with this.
Okay. So we'll just bring that up again. We should, in the meantime, though, send those, regardless, we're required to send the results of that election. It's in here somewhere.
Okay.
But I read it in one of these things.
Okay.
And they say you can just even send the the tabulator tape plus a contact number, but I read it in here.
Okay.
Highway grants, town hill culvert. Just want to update you that, I sent in, 2 paving grants for Dylan to the state. Sure, hopefully we might get one or not. Sure, to do 2 sections of the North Wolcott Road, mostly down at the further end. I think one is by, Richards.
That corner down.
Yeah. Yeah. So we probably won't hear until June sometime. Once the legislature has appropriated the money and the transportation bill has been signed. The other thing is Town Hill Culvert. It met with District 6 technicians trying to figure out Town Hill Culvert and how we can fund some of it, because we're getting a lot of different messaging on it. Anyway, what it boils down to is that they recommended that we apply for a planning grant through the Structures Highway Grant, which I submitted, which would design a new culvert for that section. Pretty basically, they told us we could temporarily fix the bottom, but they weren't going to give us any money and it wasn't going to last that long. And
There's no emergency funding.
and there's no permitting, and Fish and Wildlife would not be happy. So it will probably end up being as big as the Brook Road. There are 2 options, was I think culvert, big culvert,
Box culvert.
yeah, and or can't think of it.
The fish ladder,
That a bridge.
or a bridge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we applied, I think it was for $60,000. Our engineer was here at the time too to ask questions, because we just didn't know where to go with it.
It's $1 million project.
Like most big things.
Delinquent dogs.
So I gave you a list of all that we have right now, and ones that have never licensed or haven't licensed their dogs for 2 years, I handwrote those. And we have about 85 dogs. Some I put a note next to them that they have a vet appointment and they haven't been able to get the dog in yet, then I put it down, so then we know that it will be forthcoming. I sent a dog letter to Linda, and this is the one she revised. That you have in your hand. But my only comment is after it says, you guys do the warrant on May 30th. As the local select board will be issued a warrant for all unlicensed dogs. My question is, in order for it to have kind of teeth, we might want to mention that there could be consequences that are in the ordinance if they don't do it. But that's up to the board of what we'd like to add there. So any thoughts? Or I think we don't only say we'll be issuing a warrant, but we will be then, after we issue the warrant, we will be contacting them in some way and letting them know they're in violation. Because we have an ordinance to that effect, and if we don't do anything with the ordinance, then Not really fair to people that license their dogs.
So this letter is gonna go out to everybody on the list, right?
That's on that list that I just gave you, yeah.
Right. So this is gonna be mailed to them. And then on May 30th, anybody at the list will be revised at that point in time.
Yeah.
And so there'll be a remaining list, and that list will come to the select board.
Along with the warrant. Yeah.
A warrant.
Yeah, it's called the dog warrant.
It's in state statute, yeah. There's a warrant.
Okay. And then we'll make the decision of what to do next time.
Right. But should you give them? Should you let them know that there will be consequences? You want to let them know that in the letter.
Yeah, I mean, and the consequences are what?
Well, they'll be picked up and held until they're licensed.
And who would do that?
The dog, animal control officer, because that's what's in your ordinance. And that's what the warrant is.
I can tell you right now that Dean will not do that.
I know. That's why I'm coming to the board.
So you can fire him?
No, I'm not saying fire him, but if he's your animal control officer, then that's what he has to do. Because that's in your ordinance. And if your ordinance is going to be effective, you have to do what's in your
Our
ordinance.
ordinance say that you can't have trash laying around. Our ordinance say you can't have 25 barking dogs. We're trying to be effective.
But
So you just want to put some verbiage in here that would scare people? Is that the idea? Or?
no, you want to put in here what your ordinance says.
Okay, well, we can put that in. Sure.
Yeah, which is that all unlicensed dogs in every town in Vermont, according to state statute, and is in your ordinance, will be picked up and held until they are licensed.
At our expense or the owners?
They, in order to pick up their dog from the kennel, they have to pay the kennel, and they also have to have that dog vaccinated.
That should be put into it then. Because a lot of people are just gonna say, okay, pick the dog up, and then when I feel like it, I'll go pay the license fee and I'll go get the dog. Unaware of knowing they're gonna have to pay for the boarding fees.
Your ordinance has these things in there, and they also talk about offenses and everything. It's what you guys are going to stand behind, if you're going to stand behind this ordinance or not.
We'll stand behind the ordinance and we'll inject the ordinance terminology within this letter. But still, we need some help. We go out and, collect these dogs. Dean's not going to do it. The sheriff's not going to do it. You're not going to do it.
So maybe the tickets have to be done instead. Instead, you can say you will be ticketed.
Which is ticketing to the judicial court. Good luck. I'm sorry, I've been involved in this for 4 years. Good freaking luck. We just got to find a different way to deal with these people. Maybe it means getting on the phone with each one.
Yeah, Mr. Goff, our very old animal control officer, used to go visit people and he used to call them.
Yeah.
I think even Linda would agree he was very effective.
Was the town a different town then? Was it as hostile as it is now?
Well, he was retired and he enjoyed
talking with people.
Yeah, and he didn't come
Vernon
across.
started out that way at one point.
Yeah.
Where does it say in here,
Are you on the statute?
no, looking in our ordinance.
Oh. statute. I had it out earlier.
I'm looking at our ordinance and where does it say we're gonna,
Take the doggy.
right,
Well, maybe Deanna could call some of these people. Put out like do 10 a day.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we used to call people. I have no problem with doing that. I just, it's gotten so that people who, I mean, before COVID, people used to, we would call them and ask them to do it and they eventually would. I've asked Jack Orst, a person who lives in town, and he's come in and paid his taxes and everything, and he has every excuse in the book why he cannot get his dog vaccinated and get his dog licensed, and he's done this for over 2 years.
Yeah.
He lives on Elmore Palmer.
And I think, we should, make these calls and then boil this list down to like, there's gotta be like a handful or maybe 10 that just simply refuse. And then those are the ones that, the dog may have to be seized.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I just, part of my duties is to license the dogs and then to turn over to the select board all that haven't done. And then,
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we just took 10 a day and then write down what the conversation was.
like some have contacted me and they have an appointment, but they haven't got there yet. It hasn't happened yet. And then other people are out of town, like Linda DeMar called me from Florida. She's going to license them when she gets back. Lenny Young called me from Pennsylvania.
Well, the only thing it says in this ordinance is that we're gonna fine them with a civil.
Okay, I think it's in the
I
law
don't
that
see
they're.
anything else.
It's in the warrant, I think it is, unlicensed dogs being picked up.
Do you want to make any changes to this letter? Is her main question. That was her original question.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not in the ordinance, if it is in the warrant, maybe we can see what's in the warrant.
Okay.
And that can-
You guys.
I just want to make sure that we're just.
Don't you have a folder with a warrant right there when we sign every year? I was wondering about those cats up at Ed Lagoons.
Dogs doesn't even want to touch him
Why?
because he's still there.
Well, we need to do something about that because we've owned it since October and that's really trespassing. Do you see him at all? Why is he still there?
I have no idea.
All right, we need to, put that on the agenda for next time. We need to deal with him being up there. I mean, I think we were patient about his dog and getting them and patient about trying to catch the cats and so forth, but
I think the cats would just have to go to the kennel. Because justice for dogs after being sued and whatever, they don't want to even look at it.
Sued by who?
Ed Ledoux,
Oh, back in the day about all those other dogs.
so they don't want to touch it.
Well, while Belinda's looking for that, because it's getting late, can we just, move on to, Assistant Emergency Manager? Alex from the Memorial County Planning Commission wanted, us to appoint an assistant also. We appointed Steve Prince last time. And, I reached out to Steve and he said he had asked Elliot, Bierke to be his assistant already. So I'm just asking the board if we can appoint him officially as the assistant tonight.
Yeah. That's perfect.
So we can make a motion to appoint, Elliot Bierke as assistant emergency manager.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So carried. Thank you. So you can, I'll let you do, look at the,
Okay.
So it is in the statute, it's 3587. Volume 4.
Okay. Maybe we should just match this to.
Well, you guys will issue this, but yes, I can attach that writing there, yes.
yeah, put it on the back. Look at the statute.
Yep.
That way we're not making a threat.
No,
There's no
it's state
threat.
law.
It's just, we're not threatening anything, we're just telling them how it is.
But that's makes sense to me.
Okay.
Right?
And we'll do calls and see how that goes.
Consider insurance. What kind of insurance liabilities in town? If he's living on town property,
Right.
there is a liability.
I thought you had an apartment.
I just asked. We need to deal with it.
I think you're gonna have to send the sheriff up.
And we need to probably, bulldoze that, building down.
The fire department. Have a nice burn.
I don't know if they allow that anymore.
That may be a fine vote.
I think a front end loader is good.
Because it's near a waterway, but
Well, I don't think they allow.
that's what I mean.
You have to get the approval from the state, that's all.
Where's the charter, the sign charter that do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, that charter one,
I don't.
you got. Like a motion to adjourn.
In favor? Carried.